Welcome to another weekly live stream with Game Developer Bootcamp. Today is Wednesday, December 13th, 2017. And today I'm going to do something a bit different from what I've normally done on stream. Usually I try to have a specific, well, I do have something specific in mind, but normally I try to execute on doing something rather than try to learn how to do something while on stream. So today I'm going to be focusing on learning how Unity's networking works. I went through a tutorial before, and then I started applying that tutorial to another project I'm working on, and it's not working for reasons that aren't completely clear to me at the moment. So this is going to be me trying to figure out what's wrong. Could take 10 minutes, could take 2 hours. Hopefully it won't take 2 hours. And then after that, there are several different directions I could go. I was going to work on building an inventory screen with weapon and armor databases that it would pull from, but I think I might instead work on like a geotagging system, a system where someone can stand on a spot on the map and then leave a note for somebody else to find in multiplayer, which will have to probably have 2 steps. Actually, I need to build the system for them to like mark a spot and leave something there, leave a note that can be later examined and read. But I also need to figure out how to like save that to that level, I guess. Which will probably come afterwards. And awesome. I was downloading a new version of Unity. One that I have on another computer, but not on this one. I think I accidentally installed it in here. Yeah, I did. So many versions of Unity. So this is a first-person character controller that I've been working on. Has sort of a lean to it, reminiscent of games like Quake or Devil Daggers. It's meant to feel kind of physical and encourages jumping for like speed and stuff like that. Kind of retro in that way. Yeah, so this weird thing's happening where it creates both characters, but and then the controls are reversed. What the? Yeah, so right now when I press forward, it makes me go backwards and kind of to the left, and then when I press left, it makes me go backwards and to the right. And if I press right, it makes me go forward and to the left. This is all kinds of messed up. I have no idea what's going on. Morning, Michael. Yeah, today I'm trying to figure out what the heck is happening with this networking demo that I was trying to set up for a game that I'm working on. But yeah, so it's being super weird and not correct. And so I'm gonna be kind of doing some reading and kind of checking my work, because I've gotten this to work in a separate project that was just like trying to do that tutorial stuff, and so I'm trying to rebuild it inside of this other project.
To settle this argument is to play Russian roulette. Do you know how to play Russian roulette? You play Russian roulette this way. I have this pistol. One bullet in chamber. Spin cylinder. Cock the gun. Hold the gun to your head and pull the trigger. I go first. Good luck.
So one reason this might not be working is because I gotta double check and make sure the other part is true. But so I have this, one of the ways that I divided this up differently. Oh. Yeah, that would be a problem. Excuse me. So, in order to have these scripts work over a network instead of a mono behavior, and they need to be a network behavior. And in the original sort of Unity documentation sort of example that they have, they like most tutorials put all of the player controls and stuff inside one script, and I like to separate that between the player control script and the controller input so that I can just change controller buttons so that I can set how I want it to be on the keyboard. I'm using this plugin called Rewired, which is really awesome, that lets you sort of abstract it in that way in there as well. So these single string based commands like look horizontal can be attached to an axis that can be either, you know, mouse x-axis movement or a control stick x-axis movement, and do the same thing when you get input on both devices. So in both of those scripts were mono behaviors instead of network behaviors. So that could have just fixed it, potentially. We'll see. Oh my gosh, yeah, that plugin is so useful. I literally use it on every project. What? Okay. No noticeable change. Controls are still super weird. I'll go ahead and pull up the page for it so you can see it. Yep, this is it. I don't know if it was $45 or not when I got it. The price might have gone up. But super, super useful. Highly recommend. It's one of those things where it's just like, I don't do any project without it, basically. Unless I'm specifically doing a project to teach somebody how to use Unity, and they're probably not going to have it. But yeah, this is what it looks like right here. You can have different categories of controls, so you can have all the buttons be doing something in the game, and then if you switch to like a pause menu, then you can just change all the controls to do pause menu stuff and change back. Is the character controller's axis flipped? Maybe that could account for the look horizontal and look vertical going in opposite directions. So actually the looking is fine, it's just the movement. And I don't think that's the problem because it works fine if I'm doing it inside the editor. It just doesn't work if I do it inside the standalone version of the game, because I'm running them together to connect them. So I'm playing, there's like one player being hosted inside the Unity editor and then another player being hosted inside the external version of the game, and that's how I'm testing the networking. Yeah, I don't understand. Oh. Okay, here's something. Inside the update function, call if isn't local player return. So this will make sure that it is only taking an input. Yeah, so I don't even need to do, the player controller shouldn't need to be a networked behavior. I'm gonna go ahead and just change this back, because the idea is that the input is only coming in through the controller input. So that's the only one that needs to really be checking. Okay, this is looking good. Other than the controls are still flipped again. Oh my gosh. Okay, the controls are really weird. Pressing right makes me go forward. And I can't move at all in this one. What? I don't know if this is a problem or not, but I don't know. I've parented in childhood a lot of stuff that wasn't originally in that tutorial. Like having a character have their own input manager using Rewired. Oh no. I'm controlling both of them now. Although the weird thing is I'm controlling... Okay, so I can't move in this one. What the actual... Okay, I think some of it also just might have to do with my structure and building the characters. Alright, I'm going to make another version of this. Okay, there's a rewired input manager that's going to be outside the player this time. So we'll see how that goes. Alright. Let's see what happens if I build and run this. Yep, crossing my fingers. Yeah, I'm trying to do a lot more complicated things with the structure of the player character because I want to be able to do like basically the player character's head bobs and all this sort of stuff. And it's not actually procedural. Okay. The controls are messed up as all get out. Okay. So I think part of the problem, potentially, is having this outside rewired manager, input manager. So if I copy this, make it a child of this thing, which is only local to the player, and then disable this, because I also wasn't using the rewired input manager for the tutorial. It could be that that was the main thing screwing us up all along. Same problem. Of course, I need to give it a network transform. So the network transform, which I didn't have on it, should be keeping track of their positions across the network, so you can see differences across games. God, the buttons are messed up again. Oh. That's weird. That doesn't make sense. The movement buttons are making him turn and move. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and make the player. Yeah. Make this a network behavior game. Even though, like, there's nothing that needs to be passed over the network in there, like, it should just be. Both characters are going to be using the exact same script, it's just, like, a different player is the one pushing the buttons. You know what? I'll check after this. I'm wondering if there's anything special that I have to do inside of Rewired. Like if I need to check, oh, this is intended to be used over a network or something. So let's see. Okay, controls are still backwards. Okay, it's still doing that weird thing. feel like the answer is probably to have one rewired input manager and have like all the different players pull from that. But yep, and I'm setting the player ID to be 0. Whereas okay, whoever, no matter which one it is, whoever hosts the map has like the weird bad controls that are backwards. Okay, I think it might be working. Somewhat, like, so if I walk over here, okay, controls are backwards for this guy now. But look, so the networking stuff is working, mostly. I can't move with this guy in the editor, I don't think. Oh, what? What the heck? Yeah, progress is progress, I guess. Both of the... So in the... can I adjust the size of this window? That would be great. I guess not. So the camera is the same on both of them. But this one controls the other character even though the cameras are different. You know what? Maybe this awake function is screwing things up too. So it shouldn't do any of that awake stuff if it's not the local player either. I could see that as being the problem. It's giving it, it's basically taking in and setting new player controls and a new camera for it to be its main camera, and that's affected by the last player to join. It seems weird for that script to be affecting anything else, but it shouldn't be. Okay. That's weird. So I can't move. Okay, so the problem is the is local player is not working. That check is not working. So instead of doing this stuff inside an awake function, I'm just going to do it inside the onStart local player function. So instead of having to check to see if it's the local player and then returning, yeah, yes, it is very wonky right now. I'm going to turn this to a mono behavior again. Because I don't, shouldn't need to be a network behavior. Okay. Buttons are still wrong, but you know, it's running. I really don't understand why that is. Ah, you know what's happening and why it's doing that weird jerky thing? It's because the reason the camera looks so jerky gosh. It's because the jerky camera is basically, it's doing the networked sync thing where it's trying to, so I think that's what's happening. What the heck? Alright. I also need to set a new player ID. That's gotta be what it is. So right now I'm creating a new category of actions within the Rewired editor, and I'm making a category specific for using the user interface, which I'm modeling after their sample in order to create this basically a menu that lets me see how many players are in the game and then change the controls for each player. And it seems like it's mostly automated. I'm doing this to hopefully help me understand how the Rewired editor is assigning player controls and stuff, and then maybe figure out a way to automate that for when there are networked players, because right now what's happening is they're all being set to control one player, or player one. Oh, here it is. There we go.
Are you afraid of God?
No. I'm afraid of you.
So this has been updated since the, documentation was made, so I can't see where I'm supposed to assign the controls for this.
They say great science is built on the shoulders of giants. Not here. At Aperture, we do all our science from scratch. No hand-holding. Science isn't about why, it's about why not. Why is so much of our science dangerous? Why not marry safe science if you love it so much? In fact, why not invent a special safety door that won't hit you on the butt on the way out because you are fired?
Yep, this is pretty frustrating. I may just need to email Guavaman Enterprises, the guy who made this, and I can't sing praises enough for this Unity plugin. I literally do use it on every project that I do ever, but working with multiplayer like this is completely new for me, so this is a huge so this is a really big learning experience for me right now, trying to figure out how to get all this to work, and it's disappointing that it doesn't work out of the box, but yeah. I mean, I guess maybe this is a good excuse for giving each object its own input manager, making that input manager let's see, network, where is it? Network identity. Yeah, I feel like having more than one network identity was totally messing up the. Oh. Okay, so I can make it local or server only. So if the person who's hosting the server is player 1, and then every single one is an additional player, that could potentially be a good deal. I'm gonna just make a prefab out of this so I can delete it and not worry about it being gone forever.
So, who is ready to make some science?
Okay. So what did I just do? Before I wasn't deleting I was disabling it, but just in case that's giving it a problem, I'm completely deleting the rewired input manager from the scene, and I'm making it identified as a local player only object. Also, I need to make the network manager show up again. But, because the main problem is I'm trying to like have separate players using the same input manager, but if every player has their own and their player one for their own input manager, maybe that'll also just sidestep this whole problem having to even deal with this. No! Why are you doing this? Okay, actually that worked. No, it... Yes, it did. It worked. Or did it? Put you in the tunnel. Hold on. I'm super confused now. What is happening? Okay. What the heck? Okay. So... It worked. Whoa, excuse me. Okay, it worked. Something really strange is happening anyway, but okay, so here's what's happening. It's working, but the camera is wrong. This screen, the blue guy right there, the camera for this should be inside that blue guy, but instead it's inside the, I believe, the host. Hold on, I'm gonna start this over and just double check. So if I host it here, okay, I'm gonna put the host on, controls are backwards, of course. I'm gonna put the host up here on the roof. Host is up top, he's on top of the house, or whatever. I might replace their positions. Yep, it did. Alright. So I'm actually not putting the host on the roof, I'm putting the guy who connected. Okay, oh. The controls are weird because they're based on where the camera is facing, and it's reading in stuff from the wrong camera. So the second person who's joining is basically hijacking the camera. Hey Jessica. So yeah, I see what you're saying. You're saying if network identity is local. I'm assigning everything on if it's on start local player, but here, let's just see. Okay. All right. Gosh, I'm having like a moment here. Hold on. All the blood just rushed to my head for whatever reason. So Jessica's saying the way that I did it was to disable the control components on the prefab and only enable them after an isLocal check. And I just remembered that I actually built something for that that I deleted. So here, I'm gonna just find this again, because this is something that I actually just forgot about, I guess. So yeah, player network entity. There's an entire script that I put together as part of another tutorial where on toggle local. Let's see it. Controller input enable. I'm an idiot. Okay. Thank you. I didn't mean to close out of that, but I just did, so. And then once I do this, once I get this working, I'm gonna try and, okay, so player network entity. Let's do exactly what you're talking about, but I'm gonna use this script that I set up before. So capsule collider enabled, networked player, controller input enabled. The last one is the main camera. Can't believe I forgot about this stuff. Thank you for saving me all of this time. Let's see. Camera enabled. Okay. Alright, let's see if that fixed everything. And if it did, then I'm gonna just basically go back and then rebuild see if I can rebuild the character prefab the way that I want it to work. Yeah, I mean, granted, I am still learning this because it's my first time doing networked multiplayer stuff, but yeah, there's a point where it's just like, how am I supposed to hold all this information in my head? How can I be expected to know? All right, Already a problem. What? Alright, I think what's happening is I'm pressing the controls in this game, and the controls are actually going over the server and then remotely controlling me from the other. What? So I'm gonna change this so instead of controlling controller input, if that's enabled, I'm also gonna check if rewired is enabled. It looks like the cameras are working. Yep, I hope you guys are learning as much as I am right now. Oh, what? Alright. I forgot to delete the character. Alright. Gonna remove the network identity that I put on here. Oh yeah, I need to apply this prefab. Oh, the collider thing that just happened is, I mean, I had another character object in the scene already that was on the spawn point, so I think that caused it to wig out. It's working even less now. Let me see if I can. see what would happen if I just changed to my original model. So I did a lot of script changes that were not supporting the network stuff. At the very least, the cameras are working now, or, you know, we're getting the right camera, but now the input is all messed up again. Oh? Oh? So, is it Unity being Unity? Good question. You know what? Why don't I just restart Unity? I don't think it's all Unity's fault. Like, part of it is that I'm using this input manager that I've never used networked before. Okay, so all of my movement for this character is being based on okay, so I do think I need to do what you were telling me in the script, where I need to make sure that this is the local player before I assign. But it's not making any of the characters blue at this point either. Or maybe it can't find the mesh is what's probably happening. Get component and children. There it goes. Let's open up this player network entity as well. You know what? Did I do this again? Yep, I made this a mono behavior again. I think it does need to be a network behavior because it's basing all of its movement on the camera, and the camera is going to be networked, so of course it's getting all of its input and other things from other okay. No reference. So, for some reason, it's not able to tell that it's the local player.
Shit!
Should probably add in addition to controller input. What do you mean, have the players announce their input every couple of seconds? I mean, so two things are happening, right? They're not getting the correct input assigned to them, and then also the input. So like right now, if I press forward, I go forward. If I move the camera back here and press forward, it goes forward as well. What's been happening is when another camera enters the scene, then all of a sudden all of the controls for that character become centered around that other camera. Okay, so now I'm moving around fine, right? I'm moving around. Okay, so it's not fine. So this inside the game here, or inside the editor, if I press forward while looking this way, I go forward. If I press forward while looking this way, I go backward, which means that the movement is tied to, I assume, this camera, which so that character is not moving, and it looks like they also can't see me either. I'm gonna switch back to the newest version of the model that I was editing with. Okay, camera is fine. Can't move in here. What the hell? Ah, is the main camera tagged as the main camera? Might be. Yep, it is. I'm gonna change that to untagged. So is the overhead camera, which I think is fine because that's the starting camera. Although I don't know that the All right. Okay. This is where the problem is. Camera.main is being used in the player controller. Which was fine when this was a single player character controller. But it's not now. I don't know how I want to do this though. Guess public camera cam. Well, we haven't gotten it working yet. But I guess what I just have to do is I have to manually assign it a camera. I was trying to make this as like automated as possible so that I can just like drag and drop it. Like ideally with these scripts, I could like mix and match them if I wanted to do like, I don't know, anything with them, but I think this will definitely this will be good. Thank you so much. That was a great idea to check for a main camera. Alright, it's not tagged as the main camera anymore. Oh my god, no. That's not good. Well, you know what is working? Is I'm controlling the right characters again. So when I move the player character in here, that moves, and then I move here, and that's good. But the cameras are still wrong. So, screw you, overhead camera. You're untagged too now. Oh, here's another area where I assign the camera to be camera.main. And I can't do that, it's gotta be public. And that's in the camera controller. Yep, you got it too. Alright, could this fix all of our problems? Alright, the mouse does not work. Alright, cameras are still ridiculously not working. But I just noticed that I didn't delete the prefab again. Player networked entity, another. Oh my gosh. Yep. Alright. So, you totally solved every problem I had today, Messica. Literally, main camera. Camera.main. It's the root of all evil today. That's insane. Alright. Before I make another build, let's just see if I get any more errors. Yep. Main camera. Oh. Have it set as a game object instead of a camera. Is that what I want? Has it really? I had no idea. camera dot enabled. Yeah, I mean, because I don't know, I like obviously I can't do it this way right now, but I like being able to make it so that I have scripts where as much as possible is private and just like sets itself, which is why I was using camera.main. Active is like if it's enabled or not. So yeah, or you can set active to set what you want it to be. I think enabled works as well, but that's like probably another depreciated or deprecated. Variable cam of camera controller has not been assigned, but I totally assigned it. Oh, you know what? Duh. Oh my god, I keep doing this. Didn't apply the prefab. I'm pretty sure set active is what they want you to use, or it's like is active. Yeah, that's right, Michael. You can do set active to set what you want. And then what? Not spawning my player character anymore. Or did it? And it's just like it did. But I guess it doesn't have a camera. It's disabled. Oh hey. Alright, now I just need to figure out why the camera is not enabled. Is active, or if it's local player. Why is that false? Oh! Okay, that's the wrong, don't call it main camera, call it, what? No, there isn't. There shouldn't be. Anyway, player networked entity. So that is a different camera. That's the camera for the level. Change it to like environment camera or something. Anyway, environment. Okay, and so I just set it to be the player camera when it's actually this overhead camera. I need camera.main for that. I can't not use camera.main for that. Because it's not a part of the character. Although maybe that'll be fine if there's only one main camera. Excuse me. Because every level that I have, I want there to be like a camera that shows like an overhead view of the level before the player joins. That makes sense. Alright, so far so good. Thank you. But if the only main camera that's going to be used is the one that's overhead the level, that should be fine. Alright, so host is going to be in the editor this time. Alright, a weird thing's happening where I'm making the other character object's head bounce. And I'm still having the same camera issues. But you know what? We are still making progress here. I can do a tag instead of this. For a different tag. That will even make a difference. Probably not. I'll just make this optional, basically. Okay. Okay, so everything is working. The controls are working fine, except it's just displaying the wrong camera. Head bob. Well, see, the head bob is a completely standalone script that basically just takes in player input and so like what I should probably do for that is just say like have it be off on default and then that's on the camera. So if I just have this off by default, oh whoops, it's I need to remove that. Because basically both players are using the same set of controls. I'm just making it so that it's not taking in the input for a character that's not the local character. Or at least not, so it is taking that input in, it's not applying it to the other character though. See, like the head bob's off now. Let me make sure it's working on. Oh. Yeah, see, so right now I'm looking at the local player through a different camera, whereas if I'm walking around here looking at the non-local player, their head isn't bobbing. But here, let me see if. But I guess it's something the other camera can see, because yeah, so it's just the other player's input.
Yeah, it's everything I've wanted, to run beneath the sunlight. But the day will always hasten, waiting for the chance to die. And it's everything I've dreamed of,
I have it
to sit and watch the stars
so that the camera is, you know what? Okay, the camera needs to be disabled by default.
but the night will always chase us,
That's it.
waiting for the
I think that's
sun
it.
to rise.
And then it becomes enabled when that character is local and active.
Don't let them die. Don't cover up their lie. Yeah, show me that sky just one more time.
See, so it enabled because this is the local. And then if I go in here, so having me check that thing out with the head bob made me figure out what I needed to do. Yep, that fixed it. How about that? We have a liftoff. I still need to basically restructure the character and stuff to basically do what I want it to do, because the other character, it's sized differently a little bit, and then it also has these things that it does, like if you are looking one way but move the body in another direction, the body will shift and face that way while the head is facing another direction, and stuff like that, where I'm just trying to make the sort of way that the character animates as procedural and non, as much as I can, that doesn't require actual animation. But yeah, so we got Unity networking to work in this other project today, which is fantastic. And I've gone almost a half hour over I usually go for these streams. But we achieved success today, so thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for another Game Developer Bootcamp live stream. I think I'm gonna call it here today. Yeah, thank you both of you for giving me your suggestions and helping me reach the end of this thing successful. I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time as usual, and thank you so much for joining me. Hope to see you again soon. Peace. Actually, that's a good question. So Jessica just said, what are the takeaways? Don't use camera.main if you can help it. Watch out for your tags, what you're calling in your scene. Let's see, what are the other takeaways? Also, the rewired input manager and stuff, because I separated it from like input and the actual actions that happen when the input. Those are like two separate scripts. Using the rewired manager, you can have that be a child of your local object, and you can basically, you don't have to like worry about setting multiple players or controllers and stuff when you have them use their own local input manager. Also, watch out for camera.main. That was the biggest thing that was screwing me over. So camera.main, and make sure you start with things disabled that you are going to want to enable specifically for that local character. So yeah, so those are some takeaways. Thanks again for joining me. I think we're good. All right, see ya.